History's greatest conquerors, artists, and visionaries, they shared one trait that is very misunderstood. Today, we're talking about the sensitive young man, not the weak stereotype that you might imagine, but rather the man most prone to shaping civilization and or destroying himself in the process. So what is a sensitive young man? The first time I heard this term, it was from the Golden One, who's very strong and glorious, so I thought it was self-deprecating speech. But then I started to realize that most of the greats of history, from Nikola Tesla to Napoleon, could be considered sensitive young men. The sensitive young man is the type of person in whom great feeling is wedded to great will, and it is this type that is so often misunderstood, both by the mainstream and the right-wing manosphere space. You see, the mainstream tends to promote a soft and emasculated man, while the manosphere caters to the crude and brash men like Tate. The sensitive young man sits outside both of these distinctions, and he's made out to be weak by the red pill, and is often made out to be gay by the leftists. And if he's not gay, then he's evil for his dreams of conquest. You see, the predicament is the world only understands the common, not the exceptional, not the great. The greatest philosophers, visionaries, conquerors, and spiritual leaders, one could say, became great due to their sensitivity combined with will. This is best seen in the example of Alexander the Great. You see, Alexander was thought to be effeminate by his father Philip, who was the very image of the noble barbarian savage. The red pill would have loved Philip. He conquered a new woman every night and conquered other men by day. He was the Andrew Tate of ancient Greece. But you see, it was Alexander's sensitivity that actually conquered the world. Alexander dreamed grand dreams. He was very sensitive to the gods and to passions, and he also gave to friendship, the level of felicity and tenderness that most men reserve for lovers. His magnanimity won cities before he even entered, and while his army was trekking through deserts without any food or water, Alexander was marching up and down, sharing words of encouragement with each man, and he famously dumped out the little water saved for him. No matter Alexander's flaws and great shadow, which we'll talk about at the end, it was deeds like this that made him into a legend. It was his sensitivity, combined with his great feelings and great drama in life, that inspired men to follow him to the ends of the earth. It was his force of personality that conquered the world, where Philip's red pill masculinity never could. To know if you too are a sensitive young man, Alexander is generally the litmus test. Now, you may not aspire to conquer worlds, but nonetheless, does his story light fires in you? Does the mediocrity and mundaneness of modern life break your heart? Does your soul sing for more? I've been rereading this book, Alexander, by Christian Cameron. Highly recommend this masterful work of historical fiction. But Alexander's story, for me, lights divine passions in me every night. Him growing up with Hephaestion, Cleitus, and Ptolemy, and all of his royal companions. This band of boys trained under Aristotle. They wrestled and competed with each other constantly. They hunted together, and then they went and conquered the world together. And this idea of having true friends, true comrades, a glorious band of brothers on a grand mission together. This is the model for what sensitive young men want most in this life. Now, maybe you don't want to go conquer Persia, but perhaps you want to bring forth titanic works of beauty and power in the artistic frontier, or the musical frontier, or conquer the scientific and business frontier. Whatever it is, it's about a sensitivity to higher spiritual forces and wanting to express them with your boys. This is what I would say is the deepest driving force within sensitive young men. In fact, I desire this more than I even desire something like romantic love, and I want both greatly. And if you too feel physically and intellectually isolated, it is of paramount importance that we start finding the others and rebuilding the brotherhoods of camaraderie and excellence that once supported man and inspired him to great deeds. This is my life mission, and if you want to find a place to meet the others like yourself, you can apply in the link below to talk to me about it one-on-one. Let's go reconquer the world, my friends. Persia awaits. Just to give you an image of what is possible, imagine the symposiums of Athens, nightly dinner parties of cultured men, men of intellect and political will and nobility who got together in gentlemanly symposium. I could count on one hand how many brothers I could drink wine with and actually debate the finer points of politics, philosophy, and theology with, and then the next morning go out and fight a war with them, and then that night celebrate all night around the fire. Unfortunately, most men are totally uneducated today in their bodies and minds, and their hearts are numb. We have collectively denied and killed nobility, and we have cast the sensitive young man and his brothers as weak, evil, or gay. This is why the world feels so barren for men of culture. Now, I do not mean to attack anyone in this video. Not all men are sensitive to the things we have discussed, and that's okay. Everyone has their strengths in life, and you maybe don't dream of conquering the steppes with your comrades. That's fine. Maybe you dream of having a wife and some kids and a farm and a steady and comfortable life. That's beautiful. Great. But some men are moved by beauty and greatness, and a titanic will whispers in their ears. And it's not wrong. It's not egotistical, and it's not evil. Just like being moved by grief or suffering is not weak. It shows attunement to the most powerful chords of life. Devotion, glory, grief, love, and serenity. These are the emotions or states of being closest to God, I believe. When any is upon you, you are fully awake to life. And I think ancient peoples lived far closer to these real currents. Since they were often surrounded by violence and death, they loved way harder. Because there was the opportunity for glory, for camaraderie, they fought way harder. Because they believed in their ideals and their heroes, they lived with far more honor and courage. I may be guilty of romanticizing the past, but it's true. Compared to them, we have little culture. We have zero higher culture. This is what my soul rebels against every night. It is the lack of love and greatness in our world that causes my great sorrow. One slightly cringe story that really hammers home this point is the other night, I was feeling horribly alone and I was praying under the stars. And the image of Alexander holding Hephaestion as Hephaestion died and Alexander lost his best friend and his companion in life, that image came to me and just overwhelmed me with grief. And it reminded me of my ancestors and the incredible loves and losses they experienced, and how for the past 1,000 years, our tradition has been destroyed. Our people have been destroyed. We have lost all shared sense of bonding and shared sense of ideal that we are striving for together, and life has just become flat, and it shattered my heart as it breaks my heart at least once a week. I'm not emotional all the time, in fact, far from it, but it is a flat day that emotion doesn't overwhelm my entire being at least once. Grief, love, suffering, beauty, and the desire for greatness are chief triggers. And I don't mean to be self-aggrandizing here or compare myself to Alexander or the other sensitive young men of history. I'm just speaking a truth that I know others do relate to. This is what it means to be a sensitive young man, to be connected to the great chords of life and inspired to express them with others. This quality of sensitivity combined with will is obviously pretty rare within people. And when you're at the far end of the spectrum in terms of your desire and aspirations, as well as your sensitivity and consciousness, you tend to be quite alone or isolated in this quadrant. And this can lead to a lot of self-destructive behaviors as these great instincts boil inside of you but don't have anywhere to be expressed. For many of you, and myself included, modernity can feel barren, sterile, empty, and it feels like it has so little kindling to catch my heroic sparks. For my entire life, I have sought out my people, and I have sought out my personal legend. And at this point, I reject all the dreams the world has sold to me. Like, I don't want to build a goddamn side hustle. I don't want to be rich. I don't want to build a business empire. And I don't even want a peaceful little life with my family. I want to conquer the steppes with my brothers. I want to build projects of beauty and greatness into the world. And excuse my poeticism here, but I want to dance until my feet bleed. I want to fight until my hands fail. I want the chance to love with my whole heart and will with my whole will. And this has led me to so much pain and addictions and self-destructive behaviors in my life because I've so rarely been met in this. It's like I had all of this instinct and tremendous passion inside of me that had nowhere to go. It didn't know how to be directed. So I'd end up destroying myself over and over and over until I slowly learned. But this is the predicament for so many sensitive young men out there. There's no one there to teach you, very little space available to you, and very few brothers around you to support you, to love you, and to celebrate with you. And therefore, addiction, depression, and self-destructive behaviors become the norm for this type. And this is the true cause of the 27 Club, and why so many great artists and great leaders end up taking their own lives. Kurt Cobain couldn't handle it, neither could Hemingway. Alan Watts, the spiritual leader steeped in all the wisdom of the world, still ended up almost drinking himself to death. Same with Meriwether Lewis of Lewis and Clark, who couldn't handle the depression after the adventure ended. Same thing with Alexander the Great. All of these men have tremendous instinct and force of personality. Well, tremendous darkness also lived inside them. And it's of critical importance that you learn how to transmute that darkness inside of you, which this video, Why Higher Men Destroy Themselves, covers in depth. I'll see you over there. And if you are a sensitive young man, I am looking for you. We are building a noble brotherhood, and there's a link below to apply to talk to me about it one-on-one and come join us. Peace.